That was Timmy Jernigan last night at Media Night at the XL Center. This is Zach Gelb live on Radio Row. Super Bowl 52 inside the Mall of America. And now joining us, you can see Chris Rose, by the way, on the NFL Network. Super Bowl Prime Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for Minneapolis, and Sunday on NFL Game Day Prime following Super Bowl 52. Chris Rose, of course, NFL Network analyst, and you can follow him on Twitter at Chris Rose. Easy enough. Chris, welcome. How are you?
I'm good, Zach. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great. So let me first actually start you off. I know we should be talking a lot of football.
Let's go any direction you want.
If I talk a little baseball, I know that I'm my own program director, so I can do what I want.
Perfect.
So if anyone yells at me, it's going to be myself.
Excellent.
I actually have breakfast probably every other week with Gabe Kapler, the new Phillies manager, and it's not by design. We just go to the same breakfast place.
Are you sure he doesn't have you on a training regiment to where you're going to feel comfortable going down to the Jersey Shore and taking your shirt off so that you have negative 2% body fat? Because if so, that's the right guy to eat breakfast with.
Well, I'm a big guy, so I don't think I'm taking my shirt off too many places. But he gave me some tanning oil, so I don't know what he wants me to do with the tanning oil.
Excellent. Excellent. That sounds like Gabe. Millard always told me when he was a teammate of his, he said Gabe was so specific with what he would put in his body that he would take a piece of chocolate, put it in his mouth, swish it around, and spit it out. He would not swallow the full thing. I'm like, Kapler, that's annoying. That's annoying. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a box of Whoppers and make you eat the whole thing there.
You know how it is, though, in Philadelphia. When someone's hired, someone has to write the negative article. Someone has to find something about it. And the big thing in Philadelphia, and I was just laughing at it, it was the blog about the tanning oil and what he does with his private parts and everything. I go, these things are really asking someone at a press conference? It's ridiculous. I think the guy's going to be a good manager.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He'll get along with people. He's young. He's in the sabermetric world. He gets all that stuff. And guess what? They're going to be patient with him. You know, they know that they're young. Yes, they've added some interesting pieces. Carlos Santana was a guy, obviously, I've watched his entire career since I'm a Cleveland fan. They're waiting for next year's free agent class. I think that they could trade one of their outfielders right now and get a decent starting pitcher in that rotation. I would think they could take another arm. But they're pointing in the right direction. I think it's going to come back pretty quickly, not this year, but starting 2019.
And this is a year you actually look forward to. Last year, I couldn't care about the Phillies, but this year you saw a little bit of Hoskins. It was an interesting signing with Santana because you thought Hoskins would be at first. You have another year of Odubel Herrera. You're going to have Kingery eventually up. Also at shortstop with J.P. Crawford.
Right.
So it looks like the future's bright in Philadelphia. The question is, now can Matt Klentak and Andy McPhail just finish off the job?
Yeah. I mean, they have to. Plus, not all those young guys are going to pan out.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the prospect game.
Right. And you still have a good farm system. And the thing about kids down on the farm, it doesn't mean that they're all going to grow up and be Philadelphia Phillies. It means that when you're ready, there's time to make a trade, that those guys will go elsewhere.
Will Mike Trout ever end up in Philadelphia?
You know what? I think they have to start making some strides, and I think it also it might depend a little bit on what happens with Washington.
Okay.
You know, I think if they start to come back to the pack a little bit, the Mets are kind of.
Trust me,
they're a little stuck
I'm a
in
Mets
neutral.
fan.
Are you?
Oh, we have no chance.
But
I know that they stay healthy. They have a chance.
No.
I'm
a big Mickey Callaway guy.
I like him too.
I think he was a phenomenal hire, and the problem is
they don't spend.
Well, not only do they not spend, they don't spend wisely.
That's true.
Really, if you look at their ticket, it's okay. It's not the Yankees, but if you're going to spend wisely. The Wright contract has been abysmal, right? And then Jacob deGrom was the only pitcher that gave him 120 innings. You can't win like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're talking to Chris Rose right now on Radio Row. One more baseball point before we get into the football conversation, because everyone here is about the Eagles, of course, in our area and our listening audience. Give me a good Millar story, because I'm always fascinated by him going back to 2004 when they embraced the idiot's persona and everything. Right. I'm a big fan of Millar.
He's the best. And when you watch our show, that is exactly who he is.
Yeah.
And I wish everybody could have a few days to be with him at his palatial estate in Austin because he is moving a zillion miles an hour.
Very
from home
ostentatious.
to the golf course, to pitching wiffle ball with the kids in the backyard, to getting everything ready on the boat dock, to taking us out on the lake. It just does not stop with him. There is no off switch, and it's hilarious. But, man, the biggest thing was when he hit that homer this summer with the St. Paul Saints. You know, the guy hadn't taken any swings. The Friday before, he goes and takes soft toss with his kid in the garage. And listen, he's not a young guy. He's 45 at the time. We thought he was going to, pull an oblique. And I'm at a wedding.
Yeah.
In L.A., a family wedding, and my phone starts blowing up. And I look at it, and I get on Twitter, and it's like, Millar went deep. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So we're driving home from the wedding, which is like an hour away, and my wife and I call him, and we're like, he picks up the phone, and he goes, dude, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
That's unbelievable.
He had nothing to say except, I can't believe it. I mean, it's unreal.
If I would have told you before the year started the Eagles would be here in the big game, what would you have said?
Well, after watching them for about 3 weeks, I would have been like, cool, can't wait to get it on. And then after about 12 weeks, I would be like, I can't wait to hear from all my Philly fans asking me for Super Bowl tickets. And then when Week 14 happened, I was like, I guess I won't be hearing from my Philly fans. And when they got to the playoffs, I think Doug Peterson's done a masterful job. And Nick Foles has been great. I love stories like this. I think it's really cool that a guy has gone from losing his passion and his will for the game to being 60 minutes away from bringing a city something they haven't seen since 1960. I think it's amazing. I think it's awesome.
And what's so cool about it is, in the offseason, we did show after show. Can Doug coach? Because Doug was a big question mark.
Absolutely.
And even though I was skeptical of him, I was never someone that believed the guy could not coach. People that flat out said it, I didn't know what they were basing that off of. And then this year, and same goes for Howie Roseman too, people thought it was a terrible move to go back to Howie. And those two guys could not have been more right this year. And they've hit every button the right way with all the pieces they lost as well.
It's amazing. It's a pretty good IR list
that
they've got.
It's a Pro Bowl list.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. Man, there's a lot of credit that should be going around, and there's no question about it. I think Jim Schwartz has done a phenomenal job on the defensive side of the football. That front line is awesome. It's deep. They're all going to have to play and play really well coming up. I think they're a great story. I think they're fun. I think it's easy to hitch your wagon to the Eagles this week if you don't care about either team.
Who wins?
Right now, I'm still kind of juggling around. I would say the Patriots close. So when I'm saying like a 3-point game, that's a turnover.
It's a toss-up.
And it flips the other direction. So I haven't – it still might change. Still might change before Sunday.
Last one before we let you run. And I agree, it's a toss-up. It could go either way in this one. But the battle in the trenches, if you just look at it on paper, the Eagles have a huge advantage in this one. Offensive line, defensive line, when I evaluate it, and if they could get to Brady and if they could go a little Giant-esque on him in those two Super Bowls, that's how they're going to win this game.
Yeah, the thing is that Patriots defense since Week 5,
they just find a way.
They've given up the fewest points in the NFL,
and they're not pretty doing it, but it just works.
No, I mean they don't have one pass rusher where you're like, you got to look out for him,
right?
Not one, but they scheme, they play great football. Patricia's a great teacher, and they've got the Godfather. They're running it all.
Well, once again, Chris Rose, NFL Network host. You can once again follow him on Twitter at Chris Rose, and you can see him on NFL Network Super Bowl Prime Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for Minneapolis, and Sunday on NFL Game Day Prime following Super Bowl 52. What's it like working the Super Bowl?
It's awesome. I mean, it's so much fun.
It's a kid's dream, right?
Yeah, for me, it's great. I get to see the two best moments of the week. I get to interview the newest class of Hall of Famers on Saturday right after they're done.
Does T.O. get in?
I don't think so.
Wow.
I don't understand. Listen, I don't get it.
Drives me nuts.
It drives me nuts, too, but I really don't. He didn't make the top 10 last year.
Stupid.
So I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's another year where we're going to have this same narrative and discussion as to why. And I don't think it's good optics on the writers, but I don't think so. So I get to two special moments, that, and then I'm right on the field for Game Day Prime right after whichever team is hoisting that Lombardi Trophy. It's pretty special. It's the best stuff.
Awesome.
It's the best stuff.
Chris, great to meet you. Thank you so much for coming
Zach.
on.
I'll see you at the 2020 World Series in Philly. Okay?
You got it. Chris Rose right there. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.